So this is the best build for Sorcs, with possible small deviations. With Devouring Blaze, possibly Devouring Blaze is better. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, Vegito has a lot of builds, but I've only really theory-crafted Sorc, a little bit of Necro. I am at a point where I am very confident that I know the best 3 builds for Sorc. Very confident. The best 3 builds for Sorc are, for single target only, cooldown reduction Conjure is actually decent. They nerfed all the Conjure stuff, but the Conjure glyph is actually the strongest glyph that Sorc has. It is the best scaling glyph on Sorc. So it doesn't really make up for the damage lost, because it lost like 2/3 of the damage, and people are like, it's like they don't know the stock market. It's like, oh, down 60 one day, up 60 the other day. It's like, yeah, then you have no money. Great. So the way that it works is if you lose 60% of your damage, you basically need to triple your damage to make it back. This is not tripling the damage, but it is a pretty busted build, and everyone got nerfed and all that kind of stuff. And I think if you go pure Conjure, you can do pretty good damage. The problem is that because the glyphs are very specialized, you can't play a Conjurer build and then use a different skill, because you're using an entire glyph that doesn't buff that skill at all unless it's a Conjurer skill. And all 3 Conjurer skills are terrible at area of effect. All of them are bad. The lightning one too, if you're wondering. That one's also bad. So if you go pure Conjurer, I think it's actually a really good single target, like, bossing build. But the clear is going to be really crappy. So I think it's not a good all-around build. So that's off the table. But that is one of the 3 best Sorc builds for Diablo IV. The next best Sorc build, initially I was sure I was going to play a lightning Sorc. I was going to combine Arc Lash. When you use a cooldown, enemies around you are stunned for 0.5 seconds. I was going to combine that with Charge Bolts. When you stun an enemy, 40% chance to release 3 Charge Bolts. Crazy synergy, right? And Lightning gets like a little bit of damage reduction. Lightning is very good, right? It's good. So what's the problem? Why didn't I do that? Well, we got this website here, and they basically data mined literally everything. So you're like, what is every single staff that can drop in Diablo 4? There you go. Every single item type, uniques, their stat ranges, everything. Literally the entire game is data mined. So basically, I don't want to share the spreadsheet because I think the spreadsheet is not super publicly shared. I did find it on a stream, but I see that there's like almost no one looking at the spreadsheet right now. Someone went through the time and compiled all of these stats for Sorc. Okay. And you can also find like the stat ranges and everything. It has all the stats. Everything's data mined. The whole game is data. I'm not going to go through this website because it's not very well organized, but if you really want to deep dive it, diablo4.cc.us/us. Okay. Basically, if you have the highest item level possible, level 100 requirement, you are level 100. It's like an uber ancient legendary drop. Okay? It has the literal perfect rolls in the maximum of the range. Your entire gear is this, and you're going all in for crit chance. I just want to point out that because of the stun mechanic, you really want to use a two-hander. Okay. For two-handed crit chance, the absolute maximum you can get on gear, considering every gear slot, 26% crit. 26! So even though Sorc is really good at getting crit damage, Sorc can't actually get crit. Yeah, 26%. That's the most you could get. So Sorc's going to be like, no damage, lots of damage. That's how you play a crit Sorc. I guess it's kind of balanced in that way. The only crit passive is this. Hitting enemies with shock skills increase your crit chance by 1, resets upon getting a crit. It's not that good. This is like 0.5 crit per point, 3 points, approximately. It's pretty bad, actually. There is there's a thing here. Okay. Crit. Elementalist aspect. Core or mastery skills cast at or above 100 mana get increased crit. This is the only way you're getting more crit than 26 plus the stat bonus plus the 5% base. If you use this in a two-hander, you lose tons of damage. So you really don't want to do that. I certainly wouldn't do that. You also need to be over 100 mana, so you got to micromanage it. And this is only for skills that you cast, which means that triggered charge bolt won't work. Well, it will work, it just won't get the bonus. So I still think that Crit Lightning is one of the best Sorc builds. But I also think that it's kind of a micromanaging, like, core skill usage. It's basically like playing a barb. You're going to have like a rotation. You have to watch your resource, and if your resource is over 100, then you burst using a core skill, and then you switch to a different skill after that. I just don't really want to play that. I don't want to play that. Yeah. It's very similar to barb, basically. There's a crit chance to injured. Yeah, injured's 35 or under. That's pretty bad. A worse barb? I don't know if it's worse than barb. This is going to be a good build. Sorc, even though it doesn't get crit chance on weapons, which is why there's this problem. Sorc doesn't get any crit on weapons. You cannot get crit chance on a staff at all. Other classes can on their weapons. That's a big part of why this is like divided this way. Other classes have better crit passives. Some classes actually have crit on their paragon, and some other classes can get crit on their weapons. Sorc gets literally 0 of that. But what Sorc gets is crit damage with lightning skills. So on a weapon, you can get crit damage and crit damage with lightning skills. So the crit lightning build, it's going to be good. Okay, the crit multipliers are ridiculous. You also get a crit multi-glyph. Where is it here? Yeah, core skills deal 20 crit damage for every 5 dexterity. Ridiculous. Sorcs have ridiculous crit damage. They just don't have crit. That's the problem. But there's some builds that can get around it. I just don't want to play them. I think it's going to be not fun for me to play this. That's why I'm not going to play it. I'm giving up completely on the lightning build. Just so we're straight. But not because the lightning build's bad. It's like rogue. I don't want to play rogue. I think rogue will be great. Okay? I just don't want to play it. I don't want to play that. So what am I playing? I'm playing fire. There's a lot of things that I've looked into. I'm sure some people have a lot of questions. This build will use Firewall, Deep Freeze with the half cooldown at the end of Deep Freeze. Flame Shield and Teleport and Ice Armor. It's not spec because you get +1 defense. And Frost Nova. It's a 5 cooldown firewall build. So you're like, Kripp, why are you playing with 5 cooldowns on a firewall build? That's a great question. We're doing that because of this. Using a cooldown restores 25 mana. This is the only consistent way to keep up your mana while spamming a mana cost skill. The base mana regen is 10. If you see something like 20% mana regen, you're like, oh my god, that's such a big number. It is, because that's like actually a high number for mana regen. That's 2. That's 2 mana regen. 20% mana, that's 2. Increasing your mana pool doesn't increase your regen. The regen is 10. You only increase it with crazy willpower, which is, the conversion's terrible on that. You get like 11 at like max character. Yeah. So the mana regen options, actually we can go through them. Mana regeneration's increased by 10 to 20% if you're not taking damage in 3 seconds. What a joke. No one will ever use this. Best case, 2 mana per second. Casting a basic skill reduces the mana cost of your next core skill by 10 to 20%. This is decent, but it's part of that rotation playstyle that I'm not going to play. It's not decent by itself, but it's decent because there are other mana cost reduction mechanics you can stack upon this. So this is usable, just not for this build. Restore 1 to 4 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. Well, that seems pretty damn good, doesn't it? Yeah, apparently they used it in the beta. It can only proc once per mob. Yeah. So if it's like a tanky rare, and you hit it with like a slow, you get your 1 to 4 resource. But then you can't get any more after that, off that mob. So you're going to run into that situation where you're just going to a lot. Yeah. It's gonna work, and then it's not gonna work. It's gonna work, and then it's gonna be a tanky target, and then it's not gonna work. If you're like Giga Deeps, maybe that's fine. That's what is that? 8 increased dodge chance versus enemies affected by damage over time. When you dodge, you gain 5 to 10 of your primary resource. That actually doesn't seem that terrible. Like, you might think this is bad, but this exists. This is 2 mana regen per second if you never take damage. The dodge is like 5-second cooldown, so this is like 2 mana regen if you just play the game, and you get 8 extra dodge for damage reduction. This is actually pretty decent. I like that. I actually didn't consider that. It's not enough. It's not enough to spam Firewall, but it's decent. If you're okay with wasting your dodge for resource, this is actually pretty decent. Lucky Hit burning damage has 5 to 10% chance to restore 10 mana. Well, you're going to play a Firewall build, Kripp. That sounds pretty good. Nah. It's okay. It just doesn't proc a lot. This is actually a Lucky Hit-based fire damage over time build. It's literally the perfect build for this. It just doesn't proc a lot, and it's not consistent. I did try this in the first beta, I think, when we had like every legendary, basically. I tried this with Firewall. It wasn't that good. And also because it's Lucky Hit, even if on average it's good, you're going to have dry periods. And dry periods on a build with like 1 spender and 5 cooldowns. Like, what do you do if you have no mana? You just sit there. Using a cooldown restores 15 to 25 mana. This is good if you have lots of cooldowns. And if you have lots of cooldowns, it is very good and very consistent. Each time Chain Lightning bounces off you, you gain 4 to 6 mana. I think it's usable in the Chain Lightning build. Gain 10 to 20 resource for every 25% of your life that you heal. Again, it's just not very consistent. This can be good. This build actually heals a lot. If a core skill hits 5 more enemies, the resource cost is refunded. This is a unique. It's good for the Chain Lightning build. Each consecutive core skill cast reduces the resource cost of your next core skill by whatever up to a 40. Again, unique. So there's really no other option. The only way to constantly recover enough mana to spam a single skill on a Sorc is to use this in a bunch of cooldowns. That's the way that I see it. I don't think anything else is really viable here. This is it. Just this one. 5 cooldowns, 25 mana per cooldown. GG. So Flame Shield, it does burning damage, which is pretty good. You get movement speed. You heal for half the life you're missing. Super good. I love this. Teleport, you max it out because you want to try to keep up the shimmering teleport. You actually want to teleport on cooldown. So, yeah. Ice Armor, the second point isn't too bad, but again, it's 2.5 mana. 2.5 mana regen for 6 seconds. It lasts 6 seconds. And if you're wondering, Ice Armor is not affected by it's not affected by barrier duration. I tested that in the server slam. So Ice Armor is 6 seconds. 6 seconds, 2.5. It's like 15 mana. For 2 points, I wouldn't do it. Additional points in Ice Armor just raises the base amount, I think. It's not very good. I don't like it. So I wouldn't waste 2 points there. Frost Nova. Frost Nova is really good with this build because it is our main form of crowd control, and killing enemies while frozen reduces by 4 seconds. It's pretty good. How long we Theorycraft? There's actually a number of things that I need to figure out. I've been working on Sorc builds for like several weeks now, but the problem is I spent most of my time on the Lightning one, and I think the Lightning one is not going to be one that I want to play. It's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be one that I want to play. So this specific build, with a lot of the new information I found out today, there's still a number of things I need to figure out. Like, one of the things I need to figure out is if I'm going to aim for a 2-hander or a 1-hander. That is a super complicated question. Super complicated. Okay. I get Frostbolt because I might use Frostbolt to start chilling the boss. We tested, and even though it says direct damage from skills applies chill, this actually works with skills that don't do direct damage. This works with Firewall. Firewall can chill. So I want to do that if I want to stagger the boss. After you cast the knob, this is just some resists. This is just a wasted point. I would not use Firewall here. All the defensive cooldowns. Lucky Hit. We actually are scaling Lucky Hit with this build. Align the elements. 3 damage reduction. So this actually does drop even if your barrier absorbs a hit. So it's more important after that nerf to use Deep Freeze, because if a boss hits really hard, if you get hit once, you can Deep Freeze and then not get hit and have it stack up. It does go through a lot of mana, so we get some mana regeneration. And using a cooldown gives life as barrier. This is still very good. Or just spamming cooldowns. So. We are actually using Meteor, but we're using the enchantment. Lucky Hit, 8% chance for a meteor to fall on enemies. You're like, Kripp. Your damage over time build. This is where some of you guys that haven't looked at Paragon and Glyph will get the lesson. This 35% damage over 3-second burning ground that will do more damage than any other skill available when I actually have the build going. Because, yeah, we're doing mastery. Also, Meteor has a high lucky hit. And I am under the suspicion that Firewall proccing the Firewall, like the enchantment effect of Firewall, I suspect that is based off of lucky hit. I suspected it when I was playing this last weekend, and I saw Number stream. I watched Steel Mage solo Shava. It like never procs. Hydra like never procs Firewall. Even though Hydra, it's 4 burns, 100% uptime. Hydra never procs this enchantment effect. Hydra's lucky hit is abysmal because Hydra's lucky hit is for the entire duration of the skill if every single attack hits, and it misses like half of them just from the boss moving. So we're playing a lucky hit based Firewall and Meteor, and the Firewall will proc itself and Meteor. Like the Meteor is not direct damage, it's just lucky hit. So the Firewall can proc Meteor, and the Meteor can proc Firewall. So that's how that works. We spam Firewall, Firewall procs Firewall, Firewall procs Meteor, Meteor procs Meteor, and Meteor procs Firewall. So I don't know exactly how effective Lucky Hit is, but there's a number of multipliers in there. Yeah, Firewall spawned from the enchantment can also proc Firewall. Yes. I don't think that's a broken mechanic, by the way. Like if they want to nerf Meteor, I'll put in like Firebolt or the chilled thing. But I think this will be quite good. I think this is worth doing, basically. So Meteor normally is pretty bad. But the thing about Meteor and Firewall is that they both get scaled by the second best glyph in the game. And the best one's Conjure. There's only one glyph that scales harder than this. I'm not counting Crackling Energy, because that's not even a skill. So for every 5 int, that's our main stat. One of the Paragon boards has 75 int. Okay. So what is that? 7. Okay, let me just put a calculator. Let me get that open. So 75 divided by 5, that's 15 instances of 14.4 damage. So this is 216 damage with mastery skills and 20 area. So this will affect Firewall because we're a Firewall build, but it will also affect Meteor. So this makes Meteor, like any Firewall character, their second best skill will be Meteor because they're scaling Firewall, and this also just happens to scale Meteor. So it then makes Meteor procs worth it. Yeah, 14.4 is crazy high for a glyph, and it's main stat scaling. And 20 area means more procs. Bigger Firewalls, more procs. Bigger Meteor, more procs. And we're also getting... a few of these are really good. Your burning damage is increased by 40% of your critical damage, further increased by 5% for every 20 int. So we're scaling int. We're int stacking. And the critical damage that scales the crap out of the Firewall and the Burning Ground of Meteor will also just be critical damage for the Meteor itself. Which is okay. That's pretty good. We won't have a whole lot of crit, but hey, we just found out no Sorcs have that much crit, actually. It doesn't convert it. It's not instead, it's also. And we have a thing here. It's normally really out of the way, but I really want to try to grab it. I haven't done Paragons for Firewall in a while. Certainly not since this revelation. So 20% stronger enchantments should give me a 6% instead of a 5% for Firewall, and like a 10% almost instead of 8% for Meteor. So this is kind of like 20% more lucky hit of skills that literally proc each other. So this should be really good. It's a lot of travel points, yes. At 60? That's gotta be wrong. Should be like 6. %30 damage over time reduction. What the hell is that? You doubt Enchantment Master actually increases the Firewall enchant? Why wouldn't it? This is very hard to get you. This costs you almost an entire glyph. Okay, so this is not free. This is not just randomly getting this. This is a very expensive node. But I think it's worth it. And you have to keep in mind the glyphs aren't that good until you level the hell out of them. Yeah, like a slider. So if these are like those gems in D3, that might take a really long time. So being able to snag powerful legendary passives might be a way to start your character, right? So yeah, we have Meteor. Meteor procs Immobilize, which is very important. And if 3 targets get hit, 30% for another Meteor. Another Meteor means more procs. I don't know if conditional crit damage works. But if Devouring Blaze works with a crit damage convert, we obviously have to get it. Because that's 75 crit damage, which would be 150 burning damage against Immobilize, which is an enormous amount. But since we're scaling Lucky Hit, we want the chance to Immobilize. We want that. Because this should proc quite a bit. And you might be thinking, it's like, Kripp, why do you want to Immobilize so badly? Don't quote me on this, but we have looked at some videos, and I believe that Aspect of Control, more damage to Immobilize, stunned, or frozen. So it's known that when you stagger, basically these are not or. It's not or. It's and. And or, basically. So if you Immobilize 40 more, that's a multiplier, 40 more damage. But if you use the Nova to freeze and then the Firewall immobilizes, then it's 80 more damage. But actually, we believe that these are independent. So it's not 80 if it's immobilized and frozen. We think it's 1.4 times 1.4, which is a double damage multiplier, effectively. Now, when it comes to a staggered boss, if you have Aspect of Control on a two-handed staff, it is 1.8 times 1.8 times 1.8. I'll save you the math. It's a 6x multiplier on your damage during stagger if you put this in a two-hander. 6x. And Udijo showed us that you can force stagger on the boss without really that much difficulty. Like it's not like impossible. So that's why I have points in Frostbolt, because you can change enchants in combat. So I might do Firewall plus Frostbolt, So everything chills, boss gets staggered, change to meteor, 6x damage. See you later, boss arena. Okay, so that's part of the tech that I'm thinking of using. Also, very important, aspect of control is from a dungeon as well. So we can just start the game with that. Like it's not something we have to get lucky and get. We just go to that dungeon. So that's pretty good. And again, we have Frost Nova for a freeze, and we have Deep Freeze for a freeze. So we're freezing plenty. We're immobilizing with a lucky hit, and every meteor proc immobilizes. So we're getting lots of freezes and lots of immobilizes. This isn't just like a stagger only. But I mentioned the stagger stuff to indicate that it's not useless versus bosses. It's really good versus normal mobs, and I would bet it's pretty good against bosses. Other fire build? No, this is it. There's no fire build that comes close to this, in my opinion. Hydra's fine, but you can't just play Hydra. And Incinerate is trash tier. Oh, I take it back. Fireball is really good, but you need the unique. There's a unique that makes Fireball bounce, and Fireball has a pretty big area of effect. So the unique makes it do 1/3 of the damage, so probably it bounces like 3-4 times, but it doesn't say anything about lucky hit. It only specifies the damage. So if you have bouncy Fireball, Fireball becomes the best lucky hit skill on Sorc. So probably there's going to be a bouncy Fireball build that procs meteors or something. And that's probably also a good fire build. It's just really tough to, on one hand, understand that mechanic to its fullest extent. It's also not going to be anywhere near as good as on bosses as it is on trash mobs. It's going to be ridiculous on trash mobs. And you need that unique. And if you don't have that unique, Fireball's a bad skill. Except for the enchantment effect, which is good. Everyone knows that. But just casting Fireballs, it's pretty bad. There's better skills to just cast. So if you can't really cast Fireball, Incinerate is the worst skill ever. You really are looking at Meteor or Firewall, and as I showed you with the glyphs, like once you start thinking about glyphs, you really want to try to use both of them together. The Fireball unique? No, okay, there's a Fireball unique for 3 Fireballs. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the bouncy ball. They're like gloves or something. Okay, every 3rd cast launches 2 additional projectiles. That's on a 2-handed staff. I don't know if that's a good idea. That seems pretty weak to me. That, in my opinion, that's pretty weak. So you're getting 5 projectiles in 3 casts. So each cast is 60% more projectiles. So if everything is hitting, it's 60% more damage with 1 skill on a 2-hander. That's not even that good. And it's a weapon, so you're going to have to find the crazy Uber version of this and have it drop with good stats. Good luck with that. That ain't going to happen. The gloves, though, Fireball now bounces as it travels, exploding each time it hits the ground, but its explosion deals like less damage. But again, it's just it doesn't say anything about lucky hit. So I would guess the lucky hit is not affected. So I think a lucky hit Fireball build with the gloves is something to try. But that's maybe something I'll try later on if I get them. I wouldn't base playing Diablo IV with that. Yeah, it's like rolling magma. Okay. So yeah, just to finish off the build, I got Deep Freeze, Prime Deep Freeze. Gives you a barrier if you freeze anything. It worked pretty well in the beta, but who knows. we did have ultimate skills in the first 2 open betas. Well, it was like pay money beta and then open beta, those 2. And then when deep freeze ends, your non-ultimate cooldowns are reduced by 50%. I think this is just nice because if you're running a lot of cooldown recovery, which you should be if you're playing this build, you can do like do all your cooldowns, do deep freeze, and then do like all your cooldowns again. And you're just like crazy mana. You're not gonna take like any damage. So you're gonna have like a good while, like I don't know, I'm guessing, but probably 15-20 seconds where nothing's gonna hit you. Killing a burning enemy increases your mana regen. Again, this is debate. 10% mana regen for 3 seconds. That's 3 mana. I just did the math. It's 3 mana. Yeah. I doubt it stacks. You deal increased burning damage to enemies for each second they remain burning, up to 15x after 3 seconds. It's not amazing, but it's a multiplier. Why not? Every 1 second, you heal for 0.9 of your maximum life for each nearby burning enemy. Healing increased to 1.8 from bosses. So you might think this is not very good, but well, if you're surrounded by 20 mobs and you're immune 80% of the time, I would say recovering your full health bar in between that sounds pretty good to me. So I think Warmth is actually ridiculously good. Unless the entire game is getting one-shot constantly, which who knows, maybe it is. But if it's not, this seems crazy to me. There's very limited healing in Diablo 4. Very limited. It's one of the only things that actually keeps Rogue in the running against Barb. Rogue has much better healing than Barb. So this is a very powerful heal, in my opinion. It doesn't say about a cap. It just says for each nearby burning enemy. So if there's 3, it's 3%. If it's 10, it costs you 7 points total. Well, you'd want Endless Pyre, I think. 15% more damage. That's fine. You're getting this anyway. It costs you 3 points. The firewall problem. Okay, so you need this to play firewall. If you don't have this, firewall is terrible. Basically, if you cast firewall, if they get touched by it, they take 1 second worth of damage and then 3 more seconds. So firewall is 224%. Yes, it's over 8. But anything that touches the firewall takes minimum half of that, which is still pretty good. Minimum damage 112. Like, does the best druid skill even hit that number? I don't know. And I can spam this. I won't need a generator or anything. Just play cooldowns and firewall constantly. Alright, so it's still pretty good. Also, the enchantment, each time an enemy takes burning damage, there's 5% chance to spawn 2 firewalls underneath them. We played firewall a lot in the last server slam. It was clearly working with this. So if they touch the X that spawns, they take the full damage from it, even if they move away from it. It's not as bad as you think, basically. A lot of people play firewall, they don't get this, and they think firewall's bad. That's because it is bad without this. But with this, firewall's fine. Reduced mana? Nah. Invigorating Fury does 9% life per 100 rage on Barb. That stops pretty good. Sounds pretty good. But it stops if firewall ends? Right. So if your firewall has like 2 seconds on it and then they run through it, they only take 2 seconds. Okay. So all that is like, hey, Kripp, you're done with your build. Yeah, right. I wish. I have a lot of the paragons to do. I'll drop in some resources here, I guess. So this is Diablo University. I guess I can put it here. Okay. I got this from Don the Crown stream. This just tells you the maximum stat per board. So, and it just gives you the stats for all the boards. So we're going to try to pick our glyphs, pick our boards. It is only a guideline because the pathing through the boards also matters, in my opinion, quite a lot even. So it's something we're going to use when figuring out the best Paragon boards. Like the dock shore. Again, this is Don the Crown's thing. I think they do Diablo University, and he has a few videos about it. And he's a pretty cool guy. Remember when Asmongold's Necro sucked? He's the guy who told him to play on a lower difficulty, which was really funny at the time. But the extra funny thing about that is that we probably all of us should be playing on the lower difficulty when the game comes out. So how about that? All right. The next thing that is new today is they data mined stacking. So what multiplies and what doesn't multiply. So all damage, this is just like skills mostly. The int bonus, I mean for Sorc it's int, but it's your main stat bonus. All the crit stuff adds together, obviously. I mean it's obvious, but some people who haven't played the game, you know, they might not understand that. Like if you get 5 crit and then you get another 5 crit, you have 10 crit. It's not like 1 over 1.05 plus 1.0, like it's none of that like crazy formula where you can never get high, like it's not that. The damage versus, and I think I have a note, versus equals damage 2. Damage 2 or damage versus, all of it adds together and then is its own multiplier. Initially people thought that damage versus close and damage versus elites are individual multipliers because of how it works in Diablo 3. Apparently, that's not how it works in Diablo 4. In Diablo 4, damage to elites is actually weaker than we think. Because damage to elites is in the same bucket as damage to burning. I'm going to have tons of damage to burning. So damage to elites is not that important. Yeah, it's additive. This is one bucket. Damage while healthy. So the funny thing about that is we had this like troll glyph with like an embarrassingly low scaling multiplier called Imbiber. For every 5 willpower, you deal 8.8 increased damage while healthy. Like, what kind of joke glyph is this? Joke's on us. It multiplies everything by itself. It's probably one of the best glyphs for every class. Any other Imbiber enjoyers? Yeah. Yeah, it's basically more. 8.8 more per 5 willpower. It's Imbiber. For every 5 willpower, you deal increased damage while healthy. It doesn't scale solo with Fortify characters. It's in the same bucket with Fortified, damage while. It's just several classes only have healthy. Like if you don't Fortify, it's solo. Then we have damage with is one bucket. And then here's a fun one, vulnerable damage. I'm going to drop a big bomb here. It will be hard to accept, but if you don't accept what I say, you will realize that I was right after the game comes out and your character sucks. If your character cannot keep up vulnerability with a pretty good uptime, your character is a bad character. And the reason is that vulnerable damage is a multiplier and nothing else adds to it. It is a solo multiplier. If you do not keep up vulnerable with high level of consistency, your character will not do damage. The way that vulnerable works, and I saw it, I think again, I don't remember. Was it Woodija? I don't know. It was talked about in a video I saw. So like you know how rogue crossbows have like 40 vulnerable damage? You might think, oh, that's just like 40% increased damage and it adds together with all your other stuff while the target's vulnerable. No. Vulnerable is 20% more damage to a target if it has the vulnerable effect. That's baseline. That's the same for everyone. If you get 40 vulnerable damage, what that 40 does is it adds to the 20. So it becomes 60% more damage to vulnerable. So because rogues can equip a crossbow, they do like 35% more damage than non-barbs passively. Just because of the crossbow implicit. Yes, it's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. And the other thing about that is, did I miss it? Chilled. Hey, vulnerable damage. Yep. This is a double multiplier. Vulnerable damage and dealing damage to a vulnerable enemy increases your damage by 1% for 6 seconds for up to 10%. So this is more. It's not 7 more because you have the 20 base and you might have some on your gear. But it's also a really, really good glyph for all classes that can keep vulnerable. But if you can't keep vulnerable up, your class is not good. Sorcs can't do vulnerable very easily. You're looking at just Frost Nova. 6-second vulnerable against bosses. Not great. The cooldown of Frost Nova is 24 seconds, but I do want to get plus defensive skills to scale teleport, plus all skills. It's just for the sake of seeing this. So if we have 5 points in Frost Nova, it's like 19-second cooldown. And then we try to get like a lot of cooldown reduction. And also Frost Nova is casted, so you subtract your cast speed. Because you're not really doing that much damage. Well, I guess with this build you kind of are, but yeah. If you're playing like lightning, you definitely subtract the cast speed. So like you don't need to have 100 uptime, you need to have 100 uptime outside of the cast speed, because when you're casting a new Frost Nova, you're not doing a damaging hit. Frostbolt has vulnerable. Yeah, but Frostbolt sucks. What do you mean Frostbolt has vulnerable? Frostbolt is vulnerable versus frozen targets. The only time a boss is frozen is when it's staggered. I'm doing 6 times damage on a staggered boss minimum. I'm not going to cast a Frostbolt. Plus I have to put the Frostbolt on my bar. That's also not going to happen. The only reliable vulnerability... Actually, there's 2. There's hitting an enemy with 5 ice shards in a single cast makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. But cold builds are definitely weak. They're definitely weak. It's your last try, Johnny Gray. All right. 81 months. Thank you very much. So this is a good skill from the cold toolkit, but cold is not very good of a damage type, especially for bosses, in my opinion. But that could be wrong. They could stagger like crazy, and that might be worth it. It might be a good group build. Who knows? But I'm not considering cold. And ice blades, but honestly, I would consider using ice blades with this build. I'd maybe use ice blades over ice armor if vulnerability uptime is too low. I'd consider it just for the vulnerability. The full conjuration build is actually pretty decent, but it's terrible clear. So I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play that. No, you cannot freeze a boss. Bosses cannot be crowd controlled with anything. It just adds to the stagger meter. So basically, if you're playing Sorc, like it or not, you need a hell of a lot of cooldown reduction. Keep that in mind for the main dilemma that I have. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing, I kind of want to make a new spreadsheet with this. Give me a second. Yeah, I don't want this out there. Maybe I can just make a new spreadsheet. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's like where I've done some theory crafting, but it's like so much stuff on there. There's probably some information I don't want accidentally being shown on the stream. So I'm just gonna make a new spreadsheet. Okay. So what I'm doing right now, I guess I can make it like bigger text, bold. Okay. Very important question. Do we use a one-hander for the build, or do we use a two-hander for the build? I don't know. We have to keep in mind that all items have 4 stats plus a power. Okay. So we can't just get whatever stats we want. We can move a power from a legendary to a rare. So probably eventually, with enough time, you can actually get the type of item that you want. I would say that near perfect gear is fairly obtainable in Diablo 4. I don't know how rare the top items are, but having 4 perfect stats with the ability to re-roll at least 1, which is what we did again in the server slam, you can re-roll 1. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. Two-handers if there's a legendary aspect with an insane 100 multiplier. Here's the thing. So again, the maximum stats were data mined. Okay, maximum stat rolls on the maximum eye level gear data mined. I think this lucky hit, I just added it together. So on one-hander, the maximum lucky hit plus the implicit is 14.6. And the offhand is 8.8. And there is another one that's lucky hit while barrier. I'm actually going to use that one. I doubt you can get both on an offhand, but yeah. So I want, so I did like the, okay, so a two-hander, the speed is 1. So this build, teleport is instant, ice armor is instant, flame shield is instant, frost nova is not instant, and deep freeze is just occasional. We don't spam that, right? We don't factor that in. So it's going to be like two-hander is wall, 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 nova. For trash, probably, yeah. And then for a one-hander, it's going to be wall, nova. So these do 20% more damage, but we get 20% more walls with a one-hander. So the base damage versus the attack speed for this build, if the mana regeneration is sufficient, and I believe it will be, I could be wrong, but I believe it will be, it should be fine. So the damage, the DPS should be fine. The DPS is the same, I think. The and it's also one hand is more lucky hits because we're doing more hits. More hits, more lucky hits. 20% actually. It's 20% more lucky hits. So if the rest of the stats were identical, we would use a one-hander. However, the stats are not even close to identical. The amount of lucky hit you can get on two-hander, 0. One hand plus offhand, 25. Not a small amount. Okay. But then crit damage, which we turn into burning damage with like a 2x multiplier, two-hand, 61, one-hand, 30. Damage to crowd control, two-hand, 100. And then the damage to crowd control on a one-hander is so low I wouldn't even get it. It's 24. I wouldn't even get that. Yeah, I would ignore it. There has to be something better than that. Two-hand is the winner. The other thing is the cooldown reduction. Let me see cooldown reduction. There's no cooldown reduction on a two-hander. Why can't I find it? Oh, they changed the formatting on this a little bit. I saved a copy just in case. CDR. Yeah. CDR. Let's just do 0. It's not 0, but I wouldn't get it. It is 0. It is 0. CDR on the offhand, 24.9. Do you know how much cooldown reduction on the entire character if you use a two-hander? Do you know how much it is? 30. The cooldown reduction on an offhand is almost as much as the cooldown reduction that you can possibly get in the best in slot gear on all the other pieces combined. So yes, a two-hand does more damage and has whatever, but then we do have that gap in cooldowns. And I don't know how we're going to fill it. Depends what skills you need cooldown on. Right, all of them. We're using 5 cooldown skills. We need cooldown reduction on all of them. Yeah. So that is tricky. Remember, it's 4 stats. Yeah, CDR is more vulnerable, more damage. Exactly. Okay. What else do we have? We have crowd control duration on offhand. I don't care too much about that. Mana cost reduction. Offhand has like weird stats. So I'm trying to look through. Barrier generation 20. Damage reduction from burning 20. We just get 20 DR. It's very good. Life on kill. Basic skill damage. Crackling energy damage. God, these are so bad. It has attack speed. 14.6 attack speed. That might be challenging to use. But I think that's the 4th best stat. right? Like that's the fourth best stat. I can't see anything else. Can I get int on this? Oh, I can. I can. 61 int. What is a two-hander int? Also 61. Oh. One hand and offhand can get higher stats than a two-hander. That is very interesting. It's also 61. Int might be better than attack speed here. 61 int is 6% more damage, but we also get the crit multi-scaling. It'll be another 15 of our crit multi, so it's like another 20 or 30 burn damage. Yeah, that's definitely better than attack speed. So let's green light the stats that we want. DRR from burning. Lucky hit. So actually, offhand is pretty obvious what the best is. The rest, I don't know. I mean, I would only really. Well, actually, I think the lucky hit is the stat and the implicit. Because one hands have implicits, or is it fully the implicit? I'm not sure. Wait, actually, we can check. Okay, let's check, because I actually don't know. Wand. 10 lucky hit, 10, is it just 10? 10, 10. I guess it's just 10, yeah. And yeah, the reason crowd control is so high is because the staves have implicit crowd control. Yeah, they obviously have diminishing effects with lucky hit on the one-hander. That's why it's 14 on the 10 base. It's probably like 6 is the max roll for a lucky hit on a one-hander. And honestly, 6 is not worth a full stat. So this is 10, but it's free. I wouldn't get like 6 lucky hit as a stat, right? There's no way. All right. So what other stats can these get me? Crit damage is a really big one. 61 because we convert that. Implicit, yeah, items have implicits. Weapons have implicits. Just every item of that type. So for one-handers, there's daggers and there's wands. Those are the two one-handers available for Sorcs. Daggers have damage to close, which is fine. Like if you're lightning, you'd probably use a dagger. But if you're playing a lucky hit build, which I am, you'd want to use a wand, which has 10 lucky hit. Staves always have damage to crowd control in varying amounts. I just took this from a spreadsheet. I didn't look up the staves. Oh, is this 31? I think it's 31. It's not 3. Wait, what was the wand again? 21 lucky hit? Wait, do the wands really have 21 lucky hit? No, I think that's a formatting error. Oh, maybe they do. I don't know. Was the buckets from down there? Someone posted it in Al Kaiser's chat when I happened to be watching. So I yoinked it. Okay. Let me see. What else can we do? For a main hand. Core skill, ultimate skill. You can't get pyro damage. Damage to close, damage to distant, damage to crowd control 24. Yeah. Damage to injured, damage to burning. Damage to burning, 20.5, and staves get 41. Damage to chill, damage to frozen. And 61 int is not meaningless. I think 61 int is a good stat. So vulnerable damage. What else has vulnerable damage on it? That's a great question. Vulnerable damage. So staves and one-handers have vulnerable damage. And rings have like 17% vulnerable damage a pop. Oh no, 34. Wow, 34. Jesus Christ. 34 a pop, my mistake. 34 vulnerable damage, max roll, max item level. Okay. So, this is where it gets really complicated. So if we start with 20, and we get 70, so we're at 90, how much can exploit possibly give? Because if this was int, I wouldn't even look it up. Like for rogues, this is the best glyph in the game for rogues. You don't have to theorycraft it. It just obviously is. But for Sorcs, you don't get a lot of dexterity, and dexterity gives crit and dodge. And I don't want either of those things, so I don't even want dexterity in general. So what's the best dexterity board? Thank you, Don the Crown. Burning Instinct has 49. So, okay, take our thing here. So it's, I guess it's 72 times 0.98. Yeah, it's easier. 70.5 vulnerable damage. Now, if we already have 90, that's not that much. We also got the 10 multi, I guess. But getting full uptime on vulnerable is actually a bit challenging, so maybe we don't use that glyph. It's about 30 more damage. That's what it is, about 30 more damage. So the vuln damage is about half as effective. So here it's like 18 more, and here it's like 35 more. Yeah, that's probably still the best stat. Okay. That's probably still the best stat. Okay. Crit damage, obviously. 30 crit damage. It's about 60 burning damage. 60 burning damage probably gets marginalized pretty hard. It's still probably about 20 more damage. That's probably the best stat. Damage to crowd control is probably not, because damage to burning is way better. Yeah, it's like 60. It's same bucket. So this is about like 10 to 12 more. And this is less than 10 more. I would say that int is probably the best on the one-hander also. Now, there's no shot that int is the best fourth stat on a two-hander. So what is the best fourth stat on a two-hander then? Crit damage, lightning crit damage, overpower damage. Only the meteor can overpower because it has to be a hit. 41 damage over time. That's kind of bad. Core skill, basic skill, ultimate skill, damage to close, damage to distant, damage to injured, 41 damage to burning. Wow. Yeah, a lot of stats on staves are pretty bad. 41 damage to burning or 61 int. yeah, lucky hit is free, huh? I guess we go there. Depends how much int you have. No, int is pretty much isolated bonus. We're gonna have to get this. So burning damage is increased by 40% of your critical damage, further increased by 5% for every 20 int you have. So that's 10% more of our critical damage becomes burning damage. And our critical damage is going to be like 150-ish. So it's about 30 burning damage, actually. So I guess burning damage is better for a two-hander. Okay. Yeah, it's based on total int, but you can figure out the marginal difference. Oh, I guess the int also gives you the int bonus, so like 4%. 4% more. Yeah, it's really close. It's about the same. It's actually about the same. Oops. Which is pretty nice because that's kind of like some flexibility there. The main thing I like about one hand offhand is cooldown recovery and lucky hit. The synergistic part of the build is much better. The thing I like about two-handers is the bonk is bonkier. A lot bonkier. Actually, a lot bonkier. Yeah. Okay. This isn't D4. It is to me. So vuln damage, we're gonna have like 70 of that. That's gonna be on rings. Rings get like 20 fire. That's pretty bad. Rings can get 8.8 lucky hit. We definitely want that. So on a ring we get crit damage, lucky hit, vulnerable damage. And the fourth stat is like one of many other things. Go sleepy, Lex. Go sleepy. There's like 6 stats that are about the same in terms of their power level. On an amulet, amulets can get lucky hit with barrier. That's a cool stat. I also believe amulets can give you movement speed. Amulets can also give you skills. +2 to all defensive, +2 to all masteries. 25 movement speed. Oh my god, amulets, dude. Jesus Christ. 10 DR? Holy crap. 20 DR from burning. Dude, what the hell? Dude, amulets are broken. And amulets are so good, I probably wouldn't even get the lucky hit on barrier. It's probably not even that good of a stat on them. Pyromancy skill damage. Damage to elites. DR from burning. I would definitely get that on amulet. DR from burning, plus the defensive skills, plus 2 mastery skills. And maybe like DR from close. Yeah, I'm not getting that much damage on my amulet. There are damage options, but the survivability options are just crazy. Movement speed 25 is also insane. An amulet gets as much movement speed as boots. That's not very Diablo-like at all. What the hell? Since when does my necklace make me run faster? Yeah, get LeBron, take his shoes off, and put on a nice necklace. Let's see him play the same, right? I don't think so. I should probably look at this again. It's magic, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Stealth Rune Ward. Okay, so we're getting like no damage from an amulet. Ring, damage, amulet, utility, and skills. What about gloves? Gloves can get some of this crap. Let me check. I think gloves is a damage. Yeah, gloves. Here we go, gloves. Gloves crit damage. 30 crit damage. 16 lucky hit on gloves. Jesus Christ. Crit damage, lucky hit. I guess int. You get plus the core skills, but I don't use core skills. Damage to injured. Immobilized damage over time, 20%. That's not even that high, actually. Probably go with attack speed, 14. Okay, so gloves is damage. Gloves is damage again. I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around these bonuses and how much of each I will have, because now we know how they stack. So I will have no damage while healthy on my character at all. But we actually do have quite a bit of vulnerable damage. Rings have a lot of vulnerable damage. Damage versus burning, there's quite a lot of that. And the elites. And we can get some close, maybe. So that's covered. Damage with. It's actually missing mastery skills. But yeah, we do have damage with mastery skills. And I believe the general Paragon nodes are damage with. Wait, that's not it. Plus the non-physical damage. I actually don't know what that is. Plus 2. Versus is 2. Oh, okay. Oh no, that's not the same. There's no 2 in there. Non-physical damage. It's generic. It's not specific to a condition, so it's not that one. It's probably damage with. It probably stacks with the mastery. Okay. So it's damage with effectively. Okay, interesting. I think what I'm gonna do is actually just try to make a build and just wing it and see how far we get. I have made lots of these, just so we're clear. I have made so many of these, but I have not made one that includes Enchantment Master. So we do have to mess around with it a little bit. I also probably won't do it in the best order. The order does matter. Int. Non-physical, non-physical. Life, int. So the start, what is the start? Wait, it doesn't have a start. What? Okay, dude. How much int is it? Okay, why don't we just get every node and see. Sure. Perfect. 70 int, not bad. 39 dexterity. Bad. $39 willpower. Horrible. So it's just an int. Okay. Which one has 75 int? Static Surge has 75 int. Now I definitely wanted Static Surge when I was playing Lightning. Question is, do I want Static Surge when I'm playing a Firewall build? Static Surge is far. Yeah, that's the stunning one. Stun Lightning, that's a terrible glyph. That's really bad. Doesn't have the travel nodes. Now, the travel nodes are important. There's a lot of travel. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna mess with that. I could have sworn there's another with 75. 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's see, because they have the list. And so Searing Heat has 70, Frigid Fate has 70, Static Surge 75, Summoner. Oh, the starter is there, 70, 70, 65. So there's a couple options at 70. You know what? I think the Mastery one is definitely the glyph that I want first, because I get the 20 area, and 20 area is ridiculous with both of the skills that I'm using. So let's get all the int. Physical damage. Do not want willpower. Do not want willpower. Don't really want dexterity. That one's fine. Okay. Willpower. Dexterity. Int. Now, between dexterity and willpower, I want willpower, but we can connect those with dexterity. So we're going to do dexterity on that side. Willpower on the bottom. I don't know if I care for resilience that much. It's not bad, but I don't think so, not with this build. Have to get the int. Resist is better than willpower, probably, unless we're hitting a threshold up top. Here it's willpower or dexterity, so we pick willpower. Here it's just willpower. And it's strength or dexterity. I'd rather have strength, but we should pick dexterity. Everything is connected, I believe. Let me just quickly look at it to see if I have any better pathing. bottom nodes are good pre-60. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right about that. Willpower, willpower. Okay, yeah. We'll link that up later. I just want to quickly go through this. Just yeah, that looks about right. That looks about right. Okay, next question. What is our next best glyph? Let's see. Imbiber. Willpower. It's like 50 something willpower. 54 in Elemental Summoner and Icefall. Elemental Summoner you can actually end on. You don't want to connect it though. Because you can start from there and get this side and ignore those because they're all dexterity. Again, I've done this a lot. Ignore all of these. You can just go here and get the glyph. So this actually needs to be our ending glyph. Just got to keep that in mind. Okay, let me see what else we got. Crackling. Damage 2. Crowd control. Should be the same as damage 2 burning. Dexterity based. What else do we have for int? We want int. Conjuration. Crowd control. Crit damage. Electrocute. Elementalist. Paragon nodes in range. 192 of non-physical, dealing fire, cold, or lightning to an enemy. Increases all damage you deal to them by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking once per element. So that is 15% more, because we are actually doing all 3 elements. Maybe not every 10 seconds. That's maybe like 12% more. 12% more, plus a double bonus. That's not bad. Enchanter, for every 5 int, increased non-physical damage. So this looks pretty good, but this would be additive scaling with our mastery glyph. And our mastery glyph gives an enormous amount of damage. It's still probably pretty good. Okay. Vulnerable glyph, I decided is not worth it. It might be worth it for some builds, but I think it's close call. But I think if we have vulnerable damage on rings and weapon, because it's dexterity, and I don't care for crit chance, because dexterity gives you crit chance, I think I'm going to pass on it. For every 5 dexterity, you deal damage 2 burning. Damage 2 burning. You deal 10% increased damage to burning. Oh, 10% more. Oh, 10 multi at the end. What are the dexterity glyphs? Burning instinct is dexterity. Interesting. Where was it? Okay, flame feeder. Flame feeder and burning instinct. Damage 2. What do we have damage 2? We'll have some damage. Damage versus burning. Staff has a lot of damage to crowd control, but one-handers don't. Damage to elites. I think that's probably a good glyph. I think Flame Feeder looks pretty good. We don't have damage 2 stacking like crazy. And the best dexterity board is one we have to get anyway. And 10 multi sounds pretty good. Oh, it's 10 direct damage to burning. I take it back. That sucks. It's still a good glyph, but it's much less powerful than I thought. Let's keep looking. Don't care for chilled. We are doing that one, but we have to get it last. Pyromaniac. Fire. Every pyromancy skill you cast, or every second you channel, incinerate, increase your fire damage by 2% for 6 seconds. 10% more damage. That's pretty bad. Reinforced. 10% damage reduction while you have an active barrier. I like these. These are just like no requirements, basically. 25 willpower is basically nothing. I like reinforced a lot. Tactician, 10% increased damage, 4 seconds after using defensive skill. That's basically always. That's very good. Territorial, damage too close, scales off dexterity, damage reduction against close. 9.6 increased damage to close. It's just close is really close. Close is much more conditional than burning. If there's some really... There's some mobs I really don't want to be near, I would choose to not be near them. That's like the best glyph for lightning, by the way, for the chargeable build, if you're curious. So it's still pretty good. Willpower, increased burning damage. Increased damage per nearby burning. So against boss, that's 2.5x. Increased burning. Increased with, that's with. Increased with burning, yeah. So that one is a bit weak also. Like, if you're curious, it's like, Kripp, how is that weak? Well, it's 2.5 more against the boss, so it's not that good. It's willpower. So the most willpower is probably 49. So we get like 10 times this bonus. So it's like 90% increased burning. But the mastery glyph and a couple others that we're considering are additive with it. So this is like 20% more damage for a maxed out glyph. Is that worth it? Nah, I don't think so. I want a damage 2. Reduce damage the less mana you have. I don't think I'll have that low mana though. After spending 50 mana, you deal increased damage. But yeah, bonus to magic nodes within range. And you might be like, whoa, you just boost the int. No, magic nodes have non-main attributes, so you can't boost your int. Magic nodes. Yeah, that sucks. I need increased damage to something. The close is decent. I do get the damage reduction. Damage to chill, damage to burning. Damage to burning. Increased burning. No, I need damage to. Damage to. Damage to chill, damage to burning. Damage to vulnerable. That one's its own multiplier. Use rare on burning instinct board. Because it's the damage reduction from burning. Damage from enemies that are burning. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Um, but that's a top dexterity one. Hmm. But you're right. Those are really powerful bonuses. Damage 2. The close one is also dexterity. They're all dexterity. All the damage 2 are dexterity. Interesting. I hadn't considered that. They're all dexterity. Let me see. Dexterity 39. Static Surge is 44. Burn Instinct's 49. Ceaseless Conduit is 49. Conduit is the zappy zap garbage. It's so bad. It's a fast one though. I would have to get that because of the dexterity. Oh my god, I have to get both of those? Oh, Jesus Christ. Bro, no shot. Those are horrendous nodes. I mean, this gives damage too. Damage to CC? Yeah, but that won't work on bosses until they're staggered. So I'm not doing that. Honestly, these have a lot of damage too. I'm gonna check out the other fire one. Searing heat. Fire resistance, fire damage. What does searing heat have? Searing heat has good int. That's useful actually. Oh, and the int is very well positioned. Look at that. Down there. Boom. Yeah, searing heat is looking pretty good. Damage reduction for enemies that are burning. Critical strike damage. Ooh. Critical strike damage. Oh wow, this is a sick board. Sick board. Why don't we just attach that one? There's no way I'm not using it. Int willpower. Oh, fire resist. Hold on. So if we're doing int, we actually will go this other way because we have to get those int nodes anyway. What's the other int that's good? There's one more int. Enchanter. Is Enchanter good enough? Refine turn, so 150. Non-physical damage. Well, with the mastery skill thingy, it is a little bit weak actually. Because the master is going to have like 150 something already. So if we're doing 250, and then we go to like 370. It's like 50%. Yeah, that's pretty good still. The thing is, we have to stack int for the passive. Let's just see how these are positioned. Dexterity, none of that. Int. Fire damage. And then probably we exit out this way. Fire damage, 5% fire damage for 1 point. Is that worth it? Yeah, it might be. It might be. You miss 1 int the way you came in. What? Crit damage, fire damage, crit damage, fire damage, crit damage. Damage reduction from enemies that are burning. That is also quite good, actually. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Security, I guess. What's this? Healing over time. I don't care that much for that. That doesn't do anything for me. That's fine, but it's too far. 70 int. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. That actually looks pretty damn efficient. Direct ints. Ignore nearby bonuses. This is a fine node, so this is Wisdom Dex int. This is Dex Dex int. I'd rather have Wisdom Dex int. I also would consider this if we start running out of points. Have I said anything about Paragon respecs? Yeah, it's going to take a shitload of points. Okay. Mastery skills, 200 damage. Man, the marginal difference on that is pretty small. So if my skills are doing 301, so 9.6 times 14, I think. Yeah, 14 times 14. 134. Oh, that is all of it? That's kind of weird. Oh, it's separate there. Okay. Okay, so it is 134, but we have non-physical damage from other stuff. Why does it have a range? That's kind of weird. So if we're doing 365, and then we go and do 500 divided by 365, that's 37% more damage. Uh, 37% more damage. That's not that good. It's just all of the int is helping me. Because normally I wouldn't get that much int, I'd get like 30. We're getting 70, so 40 int is also like 10 damage. And then we get like, what is the average of the resists? So 26. There's a lot of different resists actually, that's not that good. This is good, but I would say it's debatable still. It's debatable. I just quite like this board. It would be more efficient if I didn't need to int stack. What would I get if I didn't need to int stack? Damage too close. Reinforced. 10x multi. Damage to burning. Alright, let's keep going. How the hell do I get burning instinct? Jesus, these nodes are just all really good. I guess we just get the whole damn board. Okay. Burning instinct. Let me just rotate it a little bit. That one's not that good. So probably we'll go through there. And honestly, I think we should do a dexterity one because the dexterity nodes are on the edge. Int. Dexterity. Yeah, we literally want all of those. We need the dexterity anyway. Damage to burning. Dexterity. I don't know what I'm going to use. Maybe Flame Feeder, maybe the close damage one. I don't know. Yeah, it's a really tough call. Cinders, dexterity, int, dexterity, int, dexterity. 49. Yeah, we got it all. Okay. Let's check efficiency. That node is useless. Yep, that's 1 point saved. 94% increased damage to burning targets. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of damage to that. Do you get damage to burning there? Alright. Is this good? Yes. Damage to burning. I should probably rather do damage to elites. It's a higher value. Oh, Jesus. Okay. This might be like a whole board situation. See, that one's actually really efficient up there. I think I'm just gonna get all the stuff I want, and then we'll see. We'll see the best way to it after that. Burning, willpower, int, burning instinct. Okay. Level 81. That's not good. We're spending way too many points. And I definitely need that. text quiet? 1 second. All right. I don't think it's 30 damage reduction from elites. That stuff in between. One, two, three, four, five, six. And if I have that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's the same. Okay. I also wanted Enchantment Master. This node is so far away. Enchantment Master have anything good? It does not. Two, three, four, 15 points for 20 more lucky hit. My lucky hit's going to be like 100. That's like 40 lucky hit. 40 lucky hit is a ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's like a glyph. Like a glyph, basically. It's like a whole glyph. A whole simple glyph. 40 lucky hit for a whole simple glyph. That's tough to swallow. I need to end in Elemental Summoner for Imbiber. I don't think I have that much more after that, to be honest. Probably want to do nodes within range. Damage reduction or damage. Willpower or dexterity. Well, that kind of depends. I have 6 there. 6 is pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think 11 is pretty standard. 5, 11. This one's a bit longer. It's not a good glyph. Summoner's great to end. 8, 9, 10, 11. Also 11. Okay. Don't want conjuration damage. But it does mean that this is more efficient. So we need one to end here and one to end here. And let's just pick the enchanter. Because I suspect I'm going to run out of points. Okay. Is this good? No. But if I go this way, it's only one more point, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 10 points instead of 11 for the next. Okay. Elemental Summoner. We ain't summoning shit. But int. Where is Imbiber? Imbiber. Willpower. None of that garbage. Int main node. Willpower. Resist elements. Willpower. Int willpower. Beautiful node to end on. $54, I believe that's the max. It is. See, this is just conjuration. It's just garbage. We don't even worry about it. It's just junk. But Imbiber gives 95.5 increased damage while healthy, which has its own bucket, so it literally doubles our damage. We literally double our damage with that. So this is super valuable. Yep. Now I don't have a lot of points left. So this is where we have to start making some tough decisions. Is this a decent endpoint? Non-physical. These are decent points. It kind of sucks. Damage to elites. It's not bad. Those aren't bad. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 is a lot though. But we do get some of the points. 18, 6 times 4, 24. We would be able to support that. Yeah, we would be able to. Sleepy next. If that is the case, it might be better to start from there. Elementalist. We go through there. Save 5. Nah. It's not much of a save. Fine, let's see what this is like. 8 damage to elites is very nice. Probably that one. Maybe next. Renown 13s were 3 points too much. What does a tactician do here? Oh, I don't even have it. Oh, dude, dexterity's rough on this one. Ten more damage. Lots of int. 34 non-fizz. So 68 instead of 20, 48 non-fizz. That's a lot of points for that. I don't know if that's worth it. I haven't done the minion. No, I have not done the necromancer. This is the equivalent of 40 lucky hit. That's the thing. 40 lucky hit is enormous. Yeah, this is enormous. I can't fathom not getting this. It's just a very low amount of damage that I'm gaining from this. This one might be a bit better though, just because willpower is not super out of the way, I think. 5 willpower. Christ. And damage reduction. What does that normally give? It's like 13 or like 10 all res, 10 all res. It's pretty nice though, because I also get a lot of int. Yeah, if you really factor all these bonuses, it's not that bad. I think I need to try to make this work. I think I need to try to make this work. Scrabble. Yeah, it's kind of like Scrabble. Actually, that's right. So Conjure is ridiculous. You should probably screenshot this, guys. Your Paragon tree needs to end with Conjure Imbiber. Every single Sorc. This is a best in slot. It's so good. Conjure Imbiber literally doubles your damage. Crazy. Okay, there's no way that gets changed as part of our plan. Crit strike damage. We sure are paying the price for that, aren't we? 1, 2. No, we're really not. That is definitely worth it. Crit damage gets doubled into fire damage. So this is 15 fire. 22 fire. 15 fire. Int fire. Yeah, it's just nuts. That's just absolutely nuts. The int nodes are good there. This is so few boards. Had 2 boards more than this. It's really expensive to get those legendary nodes. Do I think Fortify will be busted? The gem stacking seems broken. The gem stacking is awful. I think health gems are better than fortified gems. They nerfed the piss out of the fortified gems. They're like 1% per gem, and they're separate instances, so you don't add them up. Each one is just less damage taken. I also want to point something out that I think is super important for fortify Andes. Okay? If your health is fully fortified, okay, pay attention. Okay, you have 100% health, and you have 100 fortify. Okay, full. Juicy, right? You are fortified. Oh yeah. Okay. You get hit for 100 damage. So what happens is you lose 100 health, but you also lose 100 fortify. That's how fortify works. If you potion and you have 100 health more than fortify, you are no longer fortified. The mechanic is so bad. It's so bad. Okay, like I know some builds, they're just oozing fortify out of every orifice, and they're always at 100. In that case, it's fine. But if you are basing your damage reduction on having fortify, it's not going to be good. Fortify is fantastic to scale overpower. If you're playing guaranteed overpower build, fortify it up, baby. Yeah, fortify is fantastic for scaling overpower. And overpower scaling is a legit thing to do in the game. It's not a gimmick. Just fortify is not, oh, I'm tanky now. It's not that. Okay, you need to not think of it that way. Fortify for tankiness is like, it's like a perk that sometimes works. If your character is not tanky without fortify, then your character sucks. You have to make a character that's tanky without fortify, and then if you get fortify, it's a bonus. That's fortify. Okay, fortify doesn't make you tanky, not by itself. I need to fix this tree a little bit. Sharing the necro that I made, Rania. I have the concept pretty well, but I haven't done the glyphs. Imbiber is best in slot. The mastery damage makes the character. That one has to be there. Enchanter. Damage with. Non-physical. Enchanter's a bit weak. Enchanter is a bit weak. What are these nodes? Fire damage, fire resistance. Mm. Mm. Thing is, those nodes are pretty good, which means I should do a stack. I have a feeling this is where the problem is. I think this is where the problem. We waste too many points here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh wow, Enchanter's only 10. Super fast. But yeah, fire resist and fire damage is not particularly good, so that does make sense. Like, we don't even want to scale those up, to be honest. Enchanter in the first board. Put Enchanter. I think the the Enchanter board first. Easy path to the circle. This one. One, two, three, four, five. That's also 5, though. Guess I can rotate it to there. It's 1 point better. I mean, it's damage over time, taken reduction. But I guess it's 3 int points. No, it's 2 int points. Yeah, guys, this game is so dumbed down. Okay, remember what Quinn said. This game is just, it's such a watered down ARPG. There's no thinking necessary, guys. I feel like this does not do enough. For how many points I'm spending. I think it does not do enough. What other options do I have? I also think the board is a little bit weak. Maybe I just get like a simple amplifier. Like Tactician. What if we just do tactician? Dexterity, dexterity. Dexterity. Oh, we're way over already. Oh, I guess that's fairly efficient. That's fairly efficient for dexterity. Fire damage. We don't need any of that. All of that is bad. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 34 out of 25. I don't even need those. Where do I have bonus dexterity? Yeah, there's just so many dexterity nodes that are just in the way. This is a very good choice here. Look at that. Natural 27 dexterity. And the problem is that well, to be fair, fire resist is one of the best resists. There's so much fire damage. The nodes that I'm scaling are kind of bad. That's the downside. Fire damage. Which bucket is fire damage? Damage with fire. Yeah, it's kind of in that bucket. I really wanted a damage 2. I guess damage 2 burning I have. Oh, I keep the damage 2. Oh, okay. Alright, no, that's actually pretty good. I don't use the int. So 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now we get fire damage. Fire damage, willpower. 30. Okay. Okay, let's flip this baby then. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, what? That's not better. Why did I think it was 5? Oh, I guess I didn't count the original one. Yeah, that's not 5, that's 6. That is not good. Oh, it's because I counted the damage reduction. Oh, I see. Okay, fine. I see it now. I might not get that one now, that's true. Potion healing, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Let me see if there's anything more efficient here. I mean, there's a couple points there. Level 99. Elite damage is OP. It's okay, it's not that OP, I'd say. Checking these real quick. Damage with crackling. Lightning, these are so bad. Damage to stunned, forget about it. Vulnerable damage. Ooh, vulnerable damage. Oh, right. Those nodes are really good, aren't they? Spoiler, they are. They are really good. That side. It's a pretty quick one there. Oh, bro, these aren't even connected. Dexterity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess that's probably better on that end, though. So right now it's on 6. Yeah, well, I wanted to go one further. It is actually better through there. Oh, you might not be able to go through there, now that I think about it. The one thing I really don't like is that we get Tactician on nodes that just kind of suck. I'm using this board for the crit damage bonus, though. But I don't know if that's really worth it. I feel like scaling vulnerable damage would be better. $11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the point 11. Those are both 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Same on the way out. It's 11 and then 11 again, but we'd be bathing in vulnerable damage instead of this shitty fire resist. How convenient are the dexterity nodes? Oh, they're not too bad, I'd say. I can save some points there. That's probably better. Why am I calculating instead of ChatGPT? Right, right. Okay. So, Frigid Fate, vulnerable damage. This one is in position. It's not in position 0. This one is in position 2, so we can put it in position A. And put this in position 2. Need dexterity 25. It was tactician, I believe. Okay. Vulnerable damage. Vulnerable damage. I have some dexterity nodes there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa. Oh, look at that node. Holy crap. Okay, yeah, we're gonna want to get that. I think that's gonna basically be this character here. 22. Dexterity is actually pretty damn bad on this board. I'm not going to be doing that a whole lot. Damage reduction from vulnerable and vulnerable damage. Dude, look at all those blue nodes. Every single one's good. 34 vulnerable damage. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna have to be the way. How over is it? Seven points over. Same to go that way. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, vulnerable's a multiplier. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Code resistance. Lucky hit. The first board's always mastery. 70 int. And they're not too inconvenient either. I basically have to shed 6 points somewhere. I mean, I could just shed them here. Just call it, basically. 2 points extra. I mean, what's the minimum? 1, 2, 4 points. 5 points. I need to come up with 5 points. I think I'm going to call the stream, though. Fine, let's work on it a little bit more. A little bit more. hybrid Sorc like Hydra and Frozen Orb, no, it will not be possible to do that. You have to streamline your skills with paragons. Like this thing, like 19 conjuration damage per 5 int in the area. So that'll be like about plus 300 conjuration damage. If you use Hydra for any meaningful amount of damage, then you want this. But if you use this and it doesn't affect your other damage skills, then it's pretty bad. So if you want to use Hydra, you kind of want to be using the other conjuration skills, and then if you build heavily into all the conjuration skills, then you don't really want to be using another skill at all. That's kind of how Paragon warps the builds. How much vuln damage is this? 83, dude. I only have like 100, so that's like 40 more damage just because it's this tree. It has to be this tree. Yeah, Frigid Fate is ridiculous. It's just too good. It's just too good. Let's see if there's any combos here that we might want to drop. Dexterity. Int instead of strength. Is that connected? I think it's connected. We need dexterity, right? Reduction. Dexterity. Reduction. Willpower, dexterity. Damage to burning. It's not super good. It's okay, but we can shed that if we have to. Then it goes here to actually get that and leave. Okay, we just saved the point. To DR. Fine. Yeah, that's 8 DR by itself, so that's pretty good. And I did have something to do here. Just turn vulnerable. Oh, that's pretty good actually. Right now I'm basically seeing where I can shed some points. Rigid Faith, Searing Hate, Burning Instinct. Maybe. 5, 6, 7. 7. It's kind of a lot. Three ints and a cold resist. That'd be 2 ints and a damage over time taken reduction. Change your first board to second. Your main board that connects to the most boards should be the one that already has most nodes invested. Like this one, you mean? Seven. It's 7. Everywhere it's 7. And on this side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm literally 1 point from that and 2 points from that. I'm 2 points off from what I want. It's so close. I have to imagine I can gain 2 points in efficiency. That only works as an end point. Seven from that side, a lot from that side, a lot from there. You probably don't need more than 350 willpower. Yeah, with 4 boards, I probably have most of the stat requirements, or close anyway. Sorc the best class? Probably not. By taking into account the increased radius of glyphs, more or less. Doing a lot of non-physical damage. That one's fine. Damage 2 burning. I need a damage 2, so that's probably the best one. Rare nodes. It's generic, but it's pretty good. Willpower. 29 out of 25, huh? I'm 2 points inefficient and it's driving me crazy. Nothing I have is bad, which I guess it's good. I've done this a lot, but mostly for lightning. Meteor? Yeah, it's Firewall Meteor. Both of those enchantments. Probably I'll go one hand shield. Get more into that way. 25 CDR. 20 lucky hit. That's so big. We lose damage to crowd control. But we have damage to burning and stuff, so it's only like 20 something percent. Another like 30 something percent. But we get DR from burning. 20 DR from burning is huge. So that's good. I'd say one hand and offhand loses about a quarter damage. But you gain 20 DR, 25 CDR, which is very defensive. And the lucky hit and the ability to maneuver faster, I think also chips into that damage lead. I have 8 points there. It's only 7 points there. Yeah, that's gonna be one of them. Okay, don't use the willpower. Yeah. Yeah, that's an efficient point. 2. Move it to 1. That's A. Okay, let's just get that the hell out of there. A. Okay. 2. Flip. 5. So this is in position P. We're gonna go to 3. And then this will go to P. Rotate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 point remains. Okay. Willpower. Strength, willpower. Look, there's so many int nodes. Wait a second. Damage to elites. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. God damn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Damn it. Man, that sucks. Those are very expensive nodes. Burning damage to elites. Yeah, they're pretty good though. %3 damage reduction from elites. Yeah, but 6.5 on the big node is really nuts. I'm 1 point off, guys. 1 point. This gets everything that I think I would want. The next best glyph I don't even think would be worth it. Like really far there. Really far there. Really far there. Really far there. That's an end point, so it's pretty efficient that way. Drop a point on the starter board. like, I drop an int point, like 14.4 damage if I drop an int point. More than that, because the int gives me good damage. Any blues I'm willing to drop? My travel to the top left is messy. And get the strength node and cut out several travel below it. Well, I have to get this dexterity node. They look messy because we're scaling a glyph. But you might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm a little bit sleepy, so I've certainly could have messed it up. Yeah. Think I messed with that at all. Harlequin helm? Yeah, sure, ideally. We need all that dexterity. How much renown do you get? 10. I'm 1 point off. I was like 6 points off, and then I was 2 points off, and now I'm 1 point off. But I've been 1 point off for a while. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I get those. Those are really good. You get 30 renown? Wait. What? Oh my god, you get 30 renown. Why do you get 30 renown? I have 19 points left? Oh my god. +4 renown in each of the 5 acts. Okay. I'm close to a lot of really good blue nodes. 5 and 8. Damage over time taken reduction. Non-physical. Willpower. I don't know if that's worth it. It's kind of weak. Damage reduction from burning. Damage reduction from burning. Earn about 50 armor. 50 armor sounds pretty jabate. Damage to burning. Damage to burning. Execute attack speed. Damage to burning. If I have that damage to burning, where's the willpower? No, it's not. If I have that damage to burning... Oh, wait, what am I talking about? No, it's the other way. I have to have that. Resist all is not going to happen, though. Conjuration damage. Lull. Resist all. Too int that way. Healing over time. Dude, I'm so close to that, it's still not worth it. Non-physical damage and life. Those are good. Int willpower is not bad. It's like int over there. Because if I get that willpower, I can drop that willpower. Don't need it to be blue. Int is fine. Like 5 int is just okay, it's not bad. Non-fizz life, non-fizz life. Yeah, that's actually decent. So let's say I do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is superb. Five there. I don't think that's good though. Non-physical damage. The only real advantage is those points up top. Do I have a less efficient out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damage over time taken reduction. 2 int. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 int. Yeah. Okay. key. I'm gonna go to 6. Gained a point. Something has to be like a bit more efficient here. And just non-fizz is pretty good there. Really, that's quite nice. DR from vulnerable. It's just when stuff's vulnerable, it's frozen. So it's a little bit weaker than it seems actually. I mean, I'll still get those. Those are fine. Resist all. Conjuration. Armor. Fire resist. DR from burning. Willpower. One, two, three, four. Honestly, maybe it's time I just do that. Willpower, resist, life. And do we have like DR from vulnerable I can drop? No, actually. Still no. Still no. Non-fizz damage. And we got a lot of those non-fizz damage. 27 willpower. This is so short here. I've been looking at that quite a bit. 1, 2, 3. Have some potential crossplay there. Life and resists. Damage reduction from burning. I kind of like damage reduction from burning. Damage reduction from elites. I think we just drop... oh no, I need that. Oh, whoops. I just realized I became reliant on those connectors. This one I don't need. Non-fizz damage. There. Okay. Here you go, chat. Gigalink. Okay, I guess that's pretty good. Gain a ton of cold resist, huh? Why do we gain a ton of cold resist? Uh, Vulnerable damage. Yeah, I do want that. It's 34 int also. Yeah, like look at that, dude. Like that node alone, it's like 70 vulnerable damage. Yeah, you have to do that. You have to do that. I wanted to get at least 5 boards, but I got some really powerful nodes. And now that we know the damage buckets, we hit up the damage buckets. We have enough vulnerable damage to where the vulnerable damage glyph isn't worth it. We have a damage to burning in this category. Oh no, sorry. We have a damage to burning in this category. We have damage with mastery and non-physical in this. We have 2 in this category. So we have enough to the imbibing. We have 1 and small passives. We're stacking int. We're stacking crit damage. Did I drop the crit damage nodes? I don't think I did. I think those are too good to drop. Frigid Fate. Oh, I think I dropped that board. Did I? Yeah, I think I dropped the whole board. Yeah, I did. I got the vulnerable one instead of this one. It's just these nodes are really bad. Fire damage int, fire resist int. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, that's not really worth it. Searing Heat's terrible. Yeah. I'm not sure about 2-hand versus 1-hand. I'm kind of leaning 1-hand, but that's something that we'll have to test. Honestly, we're kind of building into 1-hand. We're building into more cooldowns, higher vulnerable uptime. That's more damage. And more lucky hit procs because we just went all in on lucky hit with this like crazy expensive node. Mastery. A bit overkill on damage with. Like 200 non-fizz damage. And then 200 mastery, so we had 500. And then the converted damage is damage with burning. But that's just is what it is. That just is what it is. Yeah, vulnerable damage is crazy. There's no way I'm changing that. Burning. Damage reduction will have a barrier. This is the weakest node. This is the weakest node. But I need this board, and the board is made efficient from its overall value. Enchantment Master. Enchantment Master has decent willpower. 49. Yeah, but getting the willpower is very inconvenient. This is not a Hydra build. This build is Firewall and 5 cooldown skills to juice the mana for it. Okay, it's the same link. I gotta call it here. I'm a bit over on the doggos, so they're getting impatient. I gotta go. Hope you guys had fun watching Theorycrafting stream. Gives you guys some insight into how I've done things, learned things, and now that we actually have some of the numbers behind these builds.